The black and blue division is back and more competitive than ever. Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Johnny Gaz. Thank you for returning for another video. In 2024, the NFC North was dominant. 45 total wins, a record-setting win percentage, but 0 postseason wins, leaving a very bitter aftertaste. Now in 2025, this may be the most competitive division in football, but maybe the most unpredictable. This video will dive into the biggest questions for all the NFC North teams heading into 2025. Let's go. Let's kick this off with the Detroit Lions. Vegas currently has their win total set at 10.5, and I believe the biggest question for the Lions heading into 2025 is, can these new coordinators keep this team elite? In 2024, they finished at 15-2, back-to-back division titles, but an early playoff exit. They're losing their offensive brainchild, Ben Johnson, as well as their defensive coordinator, Aaron Glenn. They are replacing them with new offensive coordinator, John Morton, as well as promoting from within new defensive coordinator, Kelvin Shepard. History would tell you, though, that replacing your coordinators usually does not bode well. Check back in on the 2023 Eagles or the 2013 Bengals. The talent remains, and Detroit has a very deep roster and a powerful offense. They are spearheaded by their two-headed monster running back Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Also superstars Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, the up-and-coming Jamison Williams. We know that Aiden Hutchinson is returning from major injury, but looks to continue his superstardom that began the 2024 season. They're also returning several players throughout that defense. Question remains on the opposite edge of Aiden Hutchinson. They have not re-signed Zadarius Smith to date, and they are expecting often injured player Marcus Davenport to have an impact in 2025. The retirement of All-Pro center Frank Ragnow does create a hole on the interior of the Lions' offensive line, but they're hoping for a second-year breakout for guard Christian Mahogany, who in limited time last year, a 6th-round draft pick, did play rather well, and he looks to fill in one of the starter roles at guard on that interior. They will have questions at center and the other guard, but are hoping for a combination of veteran Graham Glasgow and rookie Tate Ratledge. Detroit is clearly still stacked, but the coaching brain drain is real, and they have a very difficult schedule. So a 15-win season is just not in the cards for this Lions team. But if they can solve the question of their interior offensive line and get some production opposite Aiden Hutchinson combined with a little more health luck in 2025, I believe the Lions may have put themselves in their best position for the team's first Super Bowl. Let's jump over to the Green Bay Packers, and the current Vegas win total is set at 9.5. I believe the biggest question for the Packers heading into 25 is if Jordan Love is ready to step into elite territory. Did the Packers do enough around him to give him the space to step into elite territory? The Packers last year finished with 11 wins, but are spoken upon like they were last in this division. Speaks on how well the NFC North did in 2024. Jordan Love was inconsistent last year, but give him credit, he was playing through a lot of injuries and didn't get a lot of help around him. Had one of the league's highest drop rates for the Packers in 2024. So in turn, they did try to make some moves at wide receiver. They ended up drafting Matthew Golden in the first round and then athletic Savion Williams in the third. But did they get a talented enough wide receiver to claim that they have a wide receiver one? Jaden Reed certainly appears to be the Packers' most complete wide receiver, and based on reports out of Packers camp, all the confidence appears to be placed behind him to move into that role. But will it be enough to move Jordan Love into elite territory? Other questions remain on the defensive side for the Packers. We know they let go defensive back Jair Alexander. They weren't able to get a restructure deal done. He was often injured, so they decided to move on. Did they do enough in the defensive backfield to compete with the other teams in the NFC North? New defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley brought the Packers their best defensive finish since 2010. So they certainly had some marked improvement. Can they continue that as they head into 2025? But that biggest question remains, can Jordan Love remain healthy? Can he take the Packers through this really tough division and make that large contract a little bit easier to swallow? My verdict here is that I just don't believe the Packers did enough heading into 2025, especially to recoup defensively to keep up with the high-powered offense of the Detroit Lions, what could be the Minnesota Vikings, and we know what Ben Johnson is looking to do with the Chicago Bears. So all of that combined, unfortunately, no matter how good Jordan Love could be, I just think defensively they will not be able to keep up in this division. Now let's dive into the Chicago Bears. And the current Vegas win total for the Bears is set at 8.5. And in my opinion, the biggest question heading into the 2025 season is, can Ben Johnson unlock Caleb Williams and this Bears offense? In 2024, they were sitting on what ended up being a lame duck coach. They were a bad team. They had a terrible offensive line, and they threw in a rookie quarterback into the fire. And as athletic and as many plays as he made, they really were bad in 2024. Only 5 wins. So now enter offensive mind Ben Johnson, the most coveted mind in the league here this offseason. He turned the Lions offense really into a juggernaut, but can he do the same with the Bears? The position to watch is, first and foremost, the offensive line for the Bears has to be reset, and they certainly retooled this offseason, adding players like Joe Thuney, Drew Dahlman, and what I thought was a risky move in former Lions guard Jonah Jackson. But they certainly added more talent, and it appears they've built a better wall in front of their rookie quarterback. They have weapons all over the place: DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, Luther Borden, Cole Kmet, and then they end up drafting another tight end, Colston Loveland, out of Michigan. Kind of building this offense sort of in the same vein as the Lions. Ben Johnson obviously trying to install his version now for the Chicago Bears. The breakout player for the Bears has to be the quarterback, Caleb Williams, and he showed flashes in his rookie year. They've now retooled that offensive line, and they're going to install the Ben Johnson offense that'll be tailored specifically for him. If it doesn't work, something is clearly off there. Defensively, I think the Bears are building something good. They have good players up front, Grady Jarrett, Deo Odeingbo, among many others. But again, the question remains, similar to the Packers, is do they have enough in the secondary? That remains a concern. Can they cover all of the weapons here in the NFC North? I think Chicago is better. Obviously, coaching staff appears to be much better. They have, obviously, consistency, a system, a process, and things will now sort of start to fall in line for them. Are they way better? That's the question that remains to be answered. There's still a lot of pieces that have to come together. Now, I think for the Bears, I think they start slow, but I think that Caleb Williams has enough talent in Ben Johnson's mind. I think that ends up molding together, and the Bears will compete in the NFC North this year. Last but not least, the Minnesota Vikings. The Vegas current win total is set also at 8.5. In 2024, a surprising 14-win team came down to the final game there with the Lions. Surprising with the Kevin McConnell-led Vikings and the Sam Darnold experiment, which they've now moved on from. And I believe the biggest question heading into 2025 for the Vikings is, can J.J. McCarthy become a franchise quarterback? McCarthy is only 22 years old and is essentially entering his redshirt rookie season. All the coaches and everything coming out of camp praise his poise, his confidence, and his accuracy. And if he's just slightly better than Sam Darnold, the Vikings are truly already set up for success offensively. They have a running game. They have potentially the best all-around wide receiver in football in Justin Jefferson. So they really have the pieces in place around him to insulate J.J. McCarthy. On the other side, we know the Brian Flores defense can be very stingy, but they are still potentially thin at corner. A common theme here on some of these NFC North teams, and we know the offensive weapons that exist all across this division. Look for the Vikings to make another move for their secondary. And if so, if they can shore up that defense and J.J. McCarthy is everything that they hope for him to be, the Minnesota Vikings could truly make noise in this division. They were one game away from a division title, had to go on the road to Detroit. We know what happened in that football game. And they only lost by 3 points in Minnesota against that same Lions team earlier on in the season. But this Minnesota Vikings team is strapped with talent, both offensively and defensively. I think they have the second best roster in this division. And again, if J.J. McCarthy is everything that they're hoping for him to be, I think this could be the team that ultimately gives the Lions their biggest scare in 2025. The NFC North is going to be a murderer's row in 2025, 2026. You could make a case for any of these four teams winning the division or any of these four teams finishing last. That's how tough I believe this division could potentially be. To recap our biggest questions for each team: for the Lions, can these new coordinators keep this ship steady? For the Packers, is Jordan Love elite or just expensive? For the Bears, is Ben Johnson the quarterback whisperer for Caleb, and is he everything that he needs? And then for the Vikings, can J.J. McCarthy shine when the lights come on? Who is your pick to win the NFC North? Let me know down in the comments below. I so much appreciate you coming along for another video. If you dig the vibe here at Johnny Gas Sports, make sure to hit that like button. It's the best free way to help out the channel. I'd also love it if you consider subscribing. We're on the road to 3,500 now, thanks to you guys. If you hit the notify bell, you won't miss any future videos. If you'd like to check out any of my other content at Johnny Gas Sports on any of the socials, you can find all my free content there at any time. More than anything else, make sure to take care of yourself and your mental health. That is more important than anything, and I want to make sure you come back and see me on future videos. Also, one big shout out to my boy, Peter Esposito. Hooked me up with that Barry Sanders card. My man, I appreciate you more than you know. In my recovery of this Achilles injury, it's the little things like that that mean the most. You know how much I love the Lions, and what a great gift it will shine in each and every video. Thank you, my man, Peter. Everybody else, have a fantastic day. Peace and love. Go Lions.